You know what's funny? I feel like we spent the last decade trying to escape DSLR cameras. And now everybody's running back to them like there's some kind of forbidden X that suddenly just glowed up and started to look really good again. The same chunky, heavy, quote unquote outdated cameras we swore we'd never touch again, they're quietly making a comeback. And not with just nostalgic hobbyists or film geeks. I'm really talking about working photographers, content creators, and even influencers who built their entire career on chasing the latest, lightest, and greatest. So here's the question that we're going to touch on. Why are so many of us in 2025 walking away from the future and back into the past? Because honestly, I really didn't expect it either. I can't say I did. And I was deep in that phase where I thought anything without a touchscreen or AI assisted subject detection was prehistoric. I still remember my first DSLR, my true baby, which was a Nikon D850, or at least my first good DSLR, like top of the line. And it was a real upgrade, but I feel like when I was looking to actually get a better camera, I had a difficult time, and that word upgrade really started to mess with me because what I thought was progress and upgrade ended up making me feel less connected to what I thought I loved about photography in the first place. Because there really is just something about a DSLR, whether it be the feel, the sound, the weight, or all of it, that really does just hit different. You don't really just take pictures with this type of camera, you build them, you really construct them. Every shot feels like it matters because you can't hide behind 1,000 silent frames per second. You really are forced to just slow down, breathe, and actually see through the lens. And I feel like in a lot of today's cameras, that's what we're missing. We've got cameras that can practically see into the future, but somehow a lot of photographers are less in tune and in touch with their progress or just the craft in general than ever. Because when I pick up a DSLR, it feels like shaking hands with an old friend, like one of those old friends that still remembers who you were long before, everything got caught up in algorithms, reels, content schedules, all that. Because back then you really didn't shoot for engagement. You shot because you couldn't not shoot, honestly. And I feel like that DSLR really does demand your attention in a way that new gear just doesn't. And I'm not saying that new gear doesn't demand your attention at all, but I feel like the ways that it gets your attention is more so from a defensive standpoint and not an offensive or offensive standpoint. Because you have to think ahead. It's not instant feedback. It's actual intuition and honesty. And I feel like that's the muscle that we really have lost, which is that trust into our own craft, even if we don't understand how it's going at this exact moment. And it's funny because there was this clip I saw a while ago. I don't even know where it was, but it was of Annie Leibovitz. Everybody knows who that is. She was talking about how she used to shoot portraits, how everything was deliberate. She'd wait, she'd listen, and the camera was pretty much invisible and just an extension of her focus. That's what a DSLR does for you. It really does just disappear in your hands once you really understand how to use it. It doesn't chase you with screens or features or blinking overlays. It just works, and that's it. And when you hit the shutter, that sound, that click, it's kind of just a reminder that this is real and that you're not just simulating photography. You're actually taking part in it. But real quick, before we continue on, I have a quick question for you that I want to ask you for this video. And I really want you to sit with this and let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below if it really does make you want to speak. There's no right answers, just your opinion. So I would love to know what you have to say because I really do take the time to read your comments and I love to see what you guys have to say. But the question is, do you think photographers are coming back to DSLRs because of nostalgia or because we finally realized that all of our quote unquote progress came with a pretty hefty price tag? Drop your comments in the comment section down below. I would love to know what you have to say. And while you're there, leave a like. That helps me out a great deal. And subscribe because 91% of you watching aren't subscribed to this channel, and it would help me out a pretty great deal. We're trying to get to 10,000 before Christmas. I made a bet with my mom, so we got to hit 10K before Christmas. If you could subscribe, that helps me out a great deal so I can go ahead and check that off on my checklist. I appreciate it, and let's get straight back into it. So here's the thing about DSLR cameras. I feel like they were built in a time when the craft of photography was still the core. The design, the ergonomics, and even the limitations. They really did shape you to be a better shooter. You couldn't just spray and pray your way through a set. You had to actually learn exposure, composition, and anticipation. it made you a lot more intentional. And I feel like that's kind of contrary to a lot of today's cameras. Not saying that they can't be used in that way, but they're not built to be used in that way. And I feel like that's where that separation really starts to come in, because like we're all chasing just this super efficient, fast autofocus, faster uploads, faster this, faster that, more this, more that. But photography was never meant to be this everlasting, just constant speed increase of efficiency and just process in general. It's really supposed to feel, and that's one of the key words here, is just feel. And there's something interesting and weirdly grounding about shooting through an optical viewfinder. Like, you're not staring at a digital preview of what might be. You're looking at reality. You're looking at light bouncing straight into your eyes with no filter, no interpretation, just exactly the world as it is, as your lens sees it. And I feel like that small difference really does change everything about how you see. It's kind of like listening to a vinyl instead of streaming it. It's slower, sure, but it's a lot more authentic and in tune with just the most original version of that process that can be. So in my opinion, I think what this whole DSLR revival is all about is a quiet rebellion. And not to say it's against technology, but more so against disconnection, because I feel like we've become so obsessed with what's next that we stopped anticipating and that we stopped appreciating what's right now. And I feel like photographers today, especially the ones who have been at it for a long time, are realizing that perfection doesn't equal satisfaction. You can have the sharpest images in the world, but if it feels like nothing when you look at it, then it is nothing. It's pretty meaningless or just soulless, and no one really wants to continuously look at pictures that don't invoke really anything. But pick up a 10-year-old DSLR and suddenly you'll feel a lot more in tune with the process, which I feel like automatically puts that level of soul into your photos. I'm not saying as soon as you touch a DSLR, every photo just becomes super meaningful and all of that other stuff. I'm saying that these cameras just are easier to just strip out all of the extra nonsense and noise and just allow you to create at the most bare bone form possible. And I was talking the other day with another photographer, and this guy shoots a lot of fashion for big brands, and he told me he went back to using a Nikon D850 for a campaign, ironically enough, but I did recommend it to him. And he told me afterwards, he was like, man, I forgot what it felt like to wait for the moment instead of just chasing it, or whatever the case may be. And that right there, I was like, that's kind of the whole point in my head. I didn't say that out loud, but I'm like, you know what? I smiled at him and I kind of just agreed, and I was like, you know what, bro, you a real one for that. And he understood it, because DSLRs do give you back the patience that I feel like social media especially just stole, like, from all of us really. They make you commit to the shot before you even take it, and in that commitment you really do start to rediscover your passion. Because I think we kind of all fell for the idea that the quote-unquote future of cameras would make us better photographers, but the truth is it really just made us more distracted ones. The more the camera does for you, the less you bring of yourself to the process, and that's why DSLR cameras still matter today, especially more than ever. They remind you that your eye and not your gear is really what creates that image. And I do get it. I'm not saying DSLRs are all the perfect cameras. Everybody has their own opinions, and mirrorless cameras are good. I can't lie, because I would be lying if I did say that that was the case. DSLRs are heavier, bulkier, and not as social friendly, I guess, but I feel like that's kind of the point. They pull you out of that constant loop of creating for an audience and kind of bring you back to just creating for yourself. And I feel like that's why a lot of people are kind of saying no to a lot of this new stuff. Not because it's bad, but maybe because it's too good. Like, it's too easy and it's too safe. Because art isn't supposed to be frictionless. It's really supposed to challenge you. And if you've ever felt burnout from shooting, like every image looks clean but feels hollow, this might be a video that should inspire you to actually grab that old DSLR, charge the battery, and go shoot something that really matters to you. Not for likes, not for clients, but just for your story and for your personal satisfaction. And I promise you, after that, you might remember why you fell in love with photography in the first place. But there's a weird irony here, because for years, everyone said DSLRs were dead. And maybe, in my opinion, they just needed a little bit of time to rest, to wait until we remember what we lost, because sometimes you don't realize how important or valuable something is to you until it's long gone. And nowadays, they're not coming back as competition. They're starting to make a rise again as correction. Photography doesn't need to be faster, it just needs to be deeper. And sometimes to move forward, you gotta move backwards. So maybe DSLRs really never died. Maybe we just stopped listening to them. But now that we're slowing down again, maybe it's time to pick them up and see what they've been trying to tell us all along. So remember what I said at the start about running back to that forbidden X. It wasn't about going back to the past. I feel like it's just we needed to remember who we were before we forgot how to feel when we shoot. That's why photographers are coming back to DSLR cameras. Not because they're better, but because we are when we use them. But anyways, that's really all I have for you. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate you leaving a like and subscribing. Again, 91% of you watching aren't subscribed, and it would really mean a lot if we could flip that. I got a bet going on that I need to hit 10,000 by Christmas, so we had 2 months. It would really mean the world if you could subscribe. And again, I appreciate you for watching. Leave your comments in the comment section down below of what you thought about the video, or if you want to answer the question if you didn't already, then leave that down there. I would love to see and hear what you have to say. But anyways, I ain't gonna keep yapping too much. Appreciate you once again, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.